Starting off this countdown, we have the prophecies. A biblical preacher believes that the end of the world is near, as almost all the prophecies laid out in the book of Revelation have been fulfilled, meaning the apocalypse is going to happen soon. Basically, in the book of Revelation, the 7 seals are the apocalyptic visions seen by John of Patmos. And apparently we have one more prophecy to fulfill before we reach the 7th seal, which marks the end of the world. Here are some of the seals that we have fulfilled. The 6th seal talks about an earthquake, followed by the sun turning black and the moon turning blood red, and mountains and islands disappearing underwater. Well, he believes that this happened with the Lisbon earthquake in November of 1755. A very disastrous earthquake caused a tsunami that covered cities. Then 25 years later in New England, the sun was completely blacked out by noon. They called it New England's Dark Day. That's not all. Over the years, we have had a number of blood moons where the moon appears red. So that right there fulfills all of the points in the 6th seal, meaning we are now on to the 7th seal, the final one. In our 9th spot today, we have the underwater cities. Within the next couple of years, a number of big cities and places are predicted to be underwater, like New York, Key West, Florida, Fiji, Bangladesh, Miami, Florida, Bangkok, and New Orleans. Environmentalist Jeff Goodall had this to say about Miami. There's virtually no scenario under which you can imagine Miami existing at the end of the century. Conditions are getting so bad in Miami that the city may have to soon raise its structures to stay above water. In fact, it's believed the sea level could rise anywhere from 10 to 30 feet by the end of the century. For Key West, Florida, it's said by 2060 over 60% of the livable land there will have been flooded. In 2100, 95% of livable land will be flooded, and in 2100, 95% of livable land there will be flooded. And then we have Bangkok. Bangkok is sinking at a rate of more than 1 to 2 centimeters a year. Currently is only 0.5 to 2 meters above the water. Much of Bangkok is already lower than the sea level, so it's believed that it could be fully below sea level by 2030. These are all terrifying statistics, and most of it is due to climate change and the sea levels rising. In our 8th spot today, we have outer space. It's crazy to think about how small Earth is in comparison to the entire universe. At any second, some massive asteroid could come hurtling down towards the Earth and kill us all. Well, guess what? NASA has said that over the next couple of years there are going to be more close calls. As in, big asteroids will be flying closer and closer to Earth. All we need is for a rogue one to come directly our way and we're toast. Moving on, at number 7 we have Nostradamus. If you're a long-time subscriber of this channel, then you should know who Nostradamus is by now. For those of you who don't know, well then you gotta subscribe to our channel and binge watch all our old videos. Just kidding, but Nostradamus was a famous seer and prophet. He wrote a book which included all of his future predictions, and a number of them have come true already, which is freaky. Now, according to Nostradamus, we are currently headed towards the end of the world. First off, he predicted that a worldwide famine will occur. He said, and I quote, "After great trouble for humanity, a greater one is prepared. The great mover renews the ages, rain, blood, milk, famine, steel, and plague. Is the heavens' fire seen a long spark running?" Well, we are already seeing great trouble for humanity with the pandemic, so that part has already come true. And the pandemic has already forced millions of people to rely on food banks. But it's about to get much worse. Then he also predicted more natural disasters, and then finally it will all end with a zombie apocalypse. Isn't that just peachy? In our 6th spot today we have the Futurists. A bunch of futurists believe that 2021 is the end of times, but they never told us how it's going to happen. They just predicted it and then left it as that. But here's the thing. Several months ago, people discovered that in the Ethiopian calendar, 2020 is actually 2012. And remember that huge scare we all had back in 2012 when everyone thought that the world was ending? Now clearly that didn't happen, but if they're right, and the world is going to end in 2012, well, this year is 2012, which means we're all dead by 2021. Isn't that great? We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Baba Vanga's predictions. Baba Vanga is another famous prophet in history. In fact, 85% of her predictions have come true, so she does have some legitimacy behind her name, which makes this next prediction very scary. For 2021 and the upcoming years, Baba Vanga predicted great disasters. She said, and I quote, "The world will suffer from a lot of cataclysms and great disasters. The consciousness of people will change. Difficult times will come. People will be divided by their faith. We are witnessing devastating events that will change the fate and destiny of humanity." Great. Now she didn't say what exactly these devastating events are, but we should buckle our seatbelts, because she also said that 2021 will be filled with great suffering and disasters. Coming in at number 4 today, we have the natural disasters. Climate change is a very serious issue. We're at the point of no return. And according to scientists, this means that we will be faced with more powerful, extreme, and deadly natural disasters. For example, we got wildfires. According to environmentalists, we are going to experience warmer and drier conditions and increased droughts, which wildfires thrive in. But we have more to worry about than just forest fires. Massive hurricanes and tsunamis will be on the rise. I mean, just recently we were hit with Hurricane Ida. This hurricane flooded New York City and New Jersey. They saw levels of rainfall they have never seen before. Residents were left trapped in flooded cars and basements, and tornadoes whipped through the air, destroying towns and homes. And like I said, it's only getting worse. Moving on to number 3, we have the apocalypse. According to a number of different ancient Indian texts, they believe that time is comprised of 4 great seasons or yugas. The final one is called Kali Yuga. Some believe that this yuga is still thousands of years away, so we don't gotta worry, but others believe we're currently in this yuga, so we do gotta worry. Here's the thing. This is the final yuga. It's said to be filled with disaster and conflict and sin. It's also supposed to mark the end of the world. Towards the end of the yuga, there will be a third world war where millions of people worldwide will lose their lives. This will mark the apocalypse. The only good news is that the Kalki avatar will come to save the world and end the suffering and bring upon a new universe / a golden age. Coming in at number 2, we have Disease X. This is an unknown disease that scientists believe and anticipate could wipe out all of mankind. They don't know what this disease is, but after analyzing the current state of our world, they are convinced it will happen in the near future. We are setting up the Earth to be a perfect environment for a new outbreak to occur. World Health Organization Committee Science Advisor John Arne Roentgen says that the next big outbreak will be something that we haven't seen before. The World Health Organization then goes on to say that it's only a matter of time before a new, extremely deadly disease wipes out the population. There are so many different strains of bacteria and viruses, they could easily just mutate and form a new, even deadlier disease. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the unbelievable weather pattern. Just last month, for the first time ever, rain fell on the summit of Greenland instead of snow. This is scary evidence that Greenland is warming at an alarming rate. Scientist Ted Scambo said, and I quote, "What is going on is not simply a warm decade or two in a wandering climate pattern. This is unprecedented." Continuing on, he said, and I quote, "We are crossing thresholds not seen in millennia, and frankly, this is not going to change until we adjust what we're doing to the air." A major UN climate report discovered that the burning of fossil fuels is what is leading to Greenland melting. In fact, Earth has lost 28 trillion tons of ice since the mid-1990s. That's a huge amount of ice in a small period of time. If the ice sheets keep going on this path and keep melting, the Earth could be destroyed before we know it.
Kicking off the list at number 10. True Way. There was once a UFO religion from Taiwan that predicted the end of the world. I forgot to tell you to put on your tinfoil hats for this one, sorry. Of course I have to kick off our part 2 with this one. True Way religion mixes Christianity, Buddhism, Taiwanese folk religion, and UFO conspiracy all together. Just a potluck of fun ideas. How great is that? We love it. Leader Han Ming-chen believed that the end of the world was near, as do many others on this list. He preached that God would appear on US national television, of course on Channel 18, not HBO, Channel 18, very specific. He believed that Jesus would return on March 25th, 1988 to announce that he would officially return in the following week. So he would come and say, "Hey, see you in a bit," and then disappear again. It's a pretty wild prediction. The following year, he then preached that millions of devil spirits and a massive flood would result in the mass extinction of the human population. Nice, you're either gonna die by a flood or by demons. 50-50 at that point on the horrible demise. It sounded pretty frightening to some, but Han Ming-chen had a plan to save those who followed him and his beliefs. How convenient, the man with a plan. All you had to do was pay a large fee to then board a spacecraft disguised as a cloud that would of course then be sent to rescue them. Yeah, it gets crazier, believe it or not. Number 9. Millerism. Religious leader William Miller started preaching in 1831, and he believed the world was going to end, so now everybody else around him also had to as well. According to him, the end times would come within the second coming of Christ, and that he would return in 1843. Again, we'll have a heads up. That's a proper prediction. Give us a year, or a week, or a month. they won't believe you. This prediction led Miller to gaining 100,000 followers, in real life mind you, and they all believed that in the end they too would be carried off to heaven with William Miller. Obviously the world didn't end in 1843, Miller recalculated and then instead predicted the end of the world would actually happen the following year in 1844. Yeah, classic. He's like, nah, just keep waiting a bit more. We're like, come on Miller. You're teasing us. Documents were found in one of Miller's followers who wrote about his experience waiting for the predicted events to unfold, and he seemed a little, dare I say, pissed off that nothing ever happened. And you know what? I would be upset too if someone was convincing me the world was gonna end, and then all of a sudden they're like, actually no, it's next year. I'm just kidding. I'm like, guy, I just spent all of my money. I left my family. What are we doing here? Number 8, the prophet hen of Leeds. Nostradamus who? We have a prophet hen now, okay? Step your game up. Step your animal game up. That's right, a barnyard animal was warning humanity of the end of all times. This all began in 1806 in Leeds, England. There once lived a chicken who laid quite the egg. Apparently on the eggshells were messages that read how, Christ is coming back. He's coming back. Yeah, I'm more of a scrambled eggs kind of guy, but these are cool too, I guess. These are cool eggs. The hen got pretty famous, obviously. Once word got out, people began to travel far and wide to see this miracle for themselves. But then next came the panic, right? Then they began worrying about this impending doom, but fear not. See, this chicken was in fact a fraud. He's a liar. He's a liar chicken. You liar. Well, no, the owner was a liar, but still. Guilty by association, pal. You're an accomplice. No, the chicken was very innocent here. Yeah, the owner had been writing on the eggs, and then they put the eggs back in the chicken to make it seem like the chicken had just had said eggs when company arrives. Yeah, pretty horrible, right? I'm surprised it took that long to catch on, to be honest. I'd be like, hey, maybe he's doing, I don't know, maybe he's putting the eggs back in. Just a guess. Number 7, the second beast. Yeah, just when you thought it was safe, a second beast shows up. There we go. I've lost track at this point. Giants, locusts, whenever it does happen, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a great time. Let's be honest here. Biblical beasts would be a way to go out. That would be an epic way, that's for sure. The first beast came out of the sea, but the second beast, that one came from the earth. Yeah, sneak attack, hidden in Revelation 13:11. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. Yeah, it sounds like the devil. Sounds like you're talking about the devil. Hiding in the earth, I mean, who else could it be? There's Jesus from up there, so big bad's gotta live, down there. The second beast isn't described as well in detail, but it did cause fire to fall from the sky, and it liked to mark people with the mark of the beast. But fire from the sky, that reminds us of something. Reminds me of something that happened back in 1666. Let's talk about it. Number 6, the Great Fire of London. Back in the 1600s, London saw quite the blaze, the Great Fire of 1666. Now, in the Bible, it references the number 666 as the number of the beast, living in the depths below, right? We just saw him, the 2-horned fella we just mentioned, right? Hiding down below, waiting, the second beast, waiting for the sneak attack. So many Christians in Europe back in the 1600s believed that the world was going to end in 1666. It's kind of like our version of the Mayan calendar debacle back in 2012. The thing is, the Great Fire actually happened that year. Yeah, pretty scary. September 2nd to September 5th, the blaze destroyed the city, including 87 churches and 13,000 homes. Many saw this as the prophecy of the end of the world coming true, right? Obviously, you look around and it sure looks like it. But on the bright side of all this, pun not intended, with all the property damage, the death toll for this great fire was relatively low. It was only 10 people that lost their lives. That's less than half the lives lost in Salem witch trials in comparison, so could be worse, could be a lot worse, but still definitely a biblical ending for 10 folks, which is pretty tragic. Number 5, the Great Flood. This one is most likely how we'll all meet our collective demise. Back in the 1500s, German mathematician and astrologer Johann Stoffler, he predicted that a great flood would cover the world and result, of course, in the death of humanity as we know it. Yeah, how fun is that? And like any great prediction, he even pinpointed a specific date. We love those. Again, we love warnings. Give us some time. Thank you. Let us pack our February 25th, 1524. This is when all of the planets would be aligned under Pisces, a water sign. So, flooding, you see the connection, right? Obviously someone put this together, thought they were a genius. Soon after he made this prediction, hundreds of pamphlets were spread around warning of this great flood. And as you can imagine, this caused a lot of panic to follow. Yeah, pamphlets go way back, eh? People have been giving those out for a while. Gotta do, list top 10 oldest pamphlets. That'd be one. A German nobleman believed this, maybe a little too much, and he gathered all of his resources to build a 3-story ark. Yeah, the guy went full on Noah for this doomsday prediction. But I mean, can you blame him? Pamphlets, everyone's talking about it, I'd believe it too. In the end though, when the day did arrive, February 25th, 1524, it did rain, but it was a light one at most. No flooding going on in this town. Not yet, at least. Number 4, vampires. Vampires were mentioned in around 50 verses from the Bible. Yeah, can you believe that? Of course, this is an ongoing argument because the verse, there are those whose teeth are swords, whose fangs are knives, to devour the poor from the earth, the needy among mankind. Many believe it's not actually vampires here that's being referenced, and rather just the wealth of the people that's being devoured. No actual, like blood sucking is actually going on. But I don't know, sea monsters, locusts, multiple horned demons, the devil, it sounds like vampires would be the least of our concerns, if I'm being honest. The 4 beasts of Daniel or Edward Cullen. I don't know, I could probably take them. Just get everything done during the day and wear tons of silver. Easy, I can do that. That's like Johnny Depp now. He goes out when it's just, sunlight. Wears a lot of silver. Is he a vampire? Johnny Depp's a vampire. I just realized. Number 3, Nephilim. There it is. The E in the I before E except the Nephilim. The Nephilim are demigods. They were described, of course, as being gigantic and scary in size. And in Genesis 6:14, they're mentioned as such. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all that they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in immortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards when the sons of God went into the daughters of humans, who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of the old, warriors of the renown. So these sons of God, these fallen ones, many believe are not the greatest. They're fallen sons like Lucifer, right? Number 1333, there's a passage that says, And there we saw the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. Yeah, giants, grasshoppers, Lucifer, whatever's going on here, I'm all set. I would rather drown in the flood. Number 2, Mayan calendar. It's 2022, which means the world thankfully did not end in 2012. But the Mayan calendar predicted that on December 21st, 2012, this would be, a great doomsday. I remember I was alive during this. I was like 17. I was kind of worried, I'm not gonna lie. No meteors hit, Thanos didn't snap any of us away, nothing happened, but that date did mark the end of their 5,125 year long calendar count. Yeah, and you thought you were a planner? Meet the Mayans. The Mayan calendar is extremely accurate, right? So that's why we kind of believed all this. Their calendar is 10,000ths of a day more exact than the calendar that we use today. Yeah, we have leap years to try and smooth it out. It's hard working out time, Planets and all that jazz, how did they do it? We have no idea. They used 20-day months and they had 2 calendar years. They had a 260-day sacred round and then a 365-day year. Every 52 years, these 2 calendars would coincide with one another, and this was referred to as a bundle, which is the Mayan equivalent to our century. Do you think their calendar was off? Is the end of the world around the corner? Many believe that it's actually going to happen soon, and that the 2012 is going to happen in 2022. And finally, number 1, the 4 beasts of Daniel. Damn, Daniel, back at it again with revelations and eating the world and destroying everything we know and love. We'll end this list off with a foreign one, because I'm nice like that. Of course, many of these endings to our big blue beautiful world involve a beast or 2, or a demon of some sorts, or just the devil more often than not. While the biblical 4 beasts of Daniel sound like they have some bang behind their buck, that's for sure. These entities are described as lions with eagle's wings. There's also a bear, and there's a leopard, and there's a 4th beast that is a complete mystery. Yeah, mystery beasts that could swallow the planet. We love those here at MA. The bear has 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth, so that's a pleasant image to imagine when referencing such an animal. The leopard also has wings. Good stuff, so you can't outrun that one, as well as 4 heads. Again, good stuff. Now I've lost that's like 8 heads now? What are we at? The mysterious 4th beast is full of horns, and it's got iron teeth and 10 horns. That's so many horns, that's so many spikes. The 4 beasts symbolize the great 4 kingdoms, but the ribs and the teeth thing, that's gonna be in my head rent-free, that's for sure. Kicking off the list at number 10, Halley's Comet. Ah yes, one of the most beautiful things in the universe that we probably won't see again. I miss everything cool that happens in space. I miss Neowise, the last 3 eclipses, it's been stormy every single night. When she returns next in 2061, I hope I see it. I'll be an old man then, and if it's rainy, I'll come back to this exact video and comment, Told ya, with a tombstone emoji right next to it. This comet passes by our planet every 76 years, but in the early 1900s, it obviously caused quite a scare. It made people think that the world was going to end. Rightfully so, it looks like a Decepticon flyby, right? The closest that the comet has ever come to our planet was back in 1910. The main fear was that it could destroy the planet, either by colliding with us, obviously, or we'd travel through the tail of gas following behind the comet. Newspapers surely didn't help. People became so desperate to save themselves from the comet that they started doing some questionable and pretty nasty things. Sacrificing virgins, selling bottled air, just stuff like that where you're like, what? Now this time Earth was fine after passing, but perhaps next time it'll be even closer. Yeah, more asteroid talk later on, we'll ease our way there. Number 9. Plagues. We grew up studying medieval plagues, but did we ever imagine we'd live through one like we did the past couple of years? Oh boy, who could have predicted any of that? Why, the Bible, of course. That's why we're here. Does it hold any clues to our impending doom? Has it been right before? Revelation 6 and Matthew 24 both foresee this pandemic hitting before the return of one Jesus Christ. So keep your eyes up. Number 8, 2016 locusts. This is Revelation 9, 3, and 10. The Bible is home to some strange events, or otherwise terrifying events, like this passage. Then from the smoke come locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces. Among the 10 plagues in the Bible, this one sounds like it's perhaps the worst, in my humble opinion. 5 months of torment caused by pit locusts. I would rather Neowise directly hit me and just me off the planet, and then everyone else is okay. That's terrible. Could this happen? I'm not trying to alarm anyone, but back in 2016, locusts did cover over 270,000 square miles in Russia, just out of the blue. They appeared, and it was like a whole. It was bad. It was really bad. Keep your head up, sinners. Number 7, hot, hot, hot. By the final book of Revelation in the New Testament, the earth goes through a bit of a rough time. In it, we see 7 plagues. We see disease, drought, and of course, heat. Yeah, spoiler alert, the God Squad says we're all gonna burn up. And it's not just the higher ups too. Scientists are also looking into this. It's a bit important, you know? We talk about it a few times on this channel, the whole global warming thing. Around 90% of scientists right now say that humans are to blame for global warming, yeah. Greenhouse gases in the atmosphere equals heat. Our global average temperature has gone up 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 90s. Carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, nitrous, and numerous chlorofluorocarbons. So we might need some suntan lotion, that's all I'm saying. It's getting hot already, isn't it? Number 6, asteroid impact. Of course, one of our leading theories as to how humans can all of a sudden go extinct is an asteroid, like we thought Halley's Comet was going to be. Revelation 8 and the first 4 trumpet judgments both appear to describe the different stages of this catastrophic event, that being a very large rock hitting Earth. How fun does that sound? And funny enough, an asteroid named Apophis is set to slam into us in 2029. Yeah, there's a 2.3% chance that it'll hit. I'm feeling lucky, I think we'll be okay. Hit that thumbs up for near misses. Number 5, the Leviathan. Okay, time to amp it up a little bit. I don't have to explain why the Leviathan makes this list here. It's called the Leviathan. Isaiah 27:1, in that day the Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, with his fierce and great and mighty sword. Even Leviathan, the twisted serpent, and he will kill the dragon who lives in the sea. Yeah, we're talking about sea monsters now, so we're getting pretty spooked. This one has more than one head, and as do most other creatures in the Bible, the Leviathan is a beast of chaos. It was defeated at the hands of God, and once upon a time, Sir Humphrey Gilbert saw a beast in the sea that had a lion's head. Could it be? Many biblical verses mention said Leviathan. I will not fail to speak of Leviathan's limbs, its strength, and its graceful form. Who can strip off its outer coat? Who can penetrate its double coat of armor? Who dares open the doors of its mouth, ringed about with fearsome teeth? Its back has rows of shields tightly sealed together. Yeah, I think I would rather a meteor than a Leviathan at this point any day. No questions asked. Number 4, false prophet. You're probably thinking, wow, it sure would be a good time for a prophet to step in and maybe, I don't know, help out humanity from said Leviathan. Leviathans? Well, fear not. In the book of Revelations, there will apparently be a beast. The first beast comes to us to spread evil, not a great beast. That's what most foul beasts do, the whole beast thing. But the second beast is really the troublemaker here, believe it or not. The first beast comes out of the sea, like I mentioned, but the second one, that one comes from inside of the earth. Revelation 13:11. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb and it spoke like a dragon. Sounds like you're talking about a specific guy there. Came from the earth with horns? Sounds like a dragon? Hard pass. It even causes fire to fall from the sky, and it likes to mark people with the mark of the beast, which allows for humanity to follow said first beast. The mark of the beast is the number 666. Number 3. Giants. Samuel 17:158. And there came out from the camp of the Philistines a champion named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a helmet of bronze on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. Spoiler alert, Goliath fell to David. But there's a race of giants called the Amorites. They're mentioned more than 80 times. One description mentioned in Amos 2:9-10 paints quite the picture. Yet it was I who destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of a cedar, and he who was as strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit above and his roots beneath. Also it was I who brought you up from the land of Egypt and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the lands of the Amorite. That's quite the description. I've been compared to a tree before, but nothing like a cedar. More like, you know, Groot. It's pretty good too. Number 2, Yellowstone National Park. There will be great earthquakes and in various places famines and pestilences. There will be terrors and great signs from heaven. Luke 21:11. And there will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on earth distress of nations and perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves. People fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Luke 21:25. Could these biblical verses hint towards something as catastrophic as Yellowstone? I mean, it's exploded 3 times in the past. Once 2 million years ago, once 1 million years ago, and another 664,000 years ago. The next one, well, could happen any day now. Could happen right now. That would be so scary, could you imagine? Back in 2014, a team of researchers laid out what an erupting Yellowstone would actually look like in real life. And it's nothing like the movie 2012 with John Cusack. It's not like that at all. It's a bit more rough. It's massive. Entire states would be gone. Hot magma would of course rain down and reach as far as San Francisco. And on top of all that chaos, volcanic ash would cover most of our sunlight. Yeah, it would be a dark and cold world for a little while. It would be like a really big Pompeii almost. Yeah, it's not great. Number 1, Harold Camping. Harold, like many others I'm sure, was obsessed with trying to predict the end of the world, right? Same reason why you click this video. You're like, well, maybe one of them. Imagine actually nailing it. I mean, then what? Then you have 2 seconds of, yes, I told you so, and then boom, we're all toast? Great. Sure, Harold Camping tried a few times, but thankfully, evidently, he was wrong. He publicly predicted the end of the world 12 times. The man even published a book in 1992 titled 1994, where in that book he predicted that the world would end sometime around that year. Given the fact that I myself was born that year, I'd say he failed, you know? Bit obvious. Another prediction for our doomsday was May 21st, 2011, exactly 7,000 years after the biblical flood. But when no flooding occurred in such a scale, Harold readjusted his prediction, saying that his math was actually a little off and that it would actually end on October 21st, 2011 instead. And then luckily didn't happen. Great. Imagine the hype this guy felt that many times. He was probably so concerned so often. Poor guy. I mean, thanks for looking out, but you know, stop psyching us out, man. Like,
starting us off with number 10 is the magnetic field part 1. Time for Professor Eamon to come out, you guys. So if you're unaware, the Earth is surrounded by a magnetic field that extends into space. Now this magnetic field is created because the flowing of liquid metal to the outer core creates electric currents, and as the Earth spins on its axis, those currents form a magnetic field. Now every couple of 100,000 years, this magnetic field dwindles to basically nothing for about a century, and then reappears when the North and South Pole flip. Not literally flip, because then what the hell, but our magnetic North Pole is actually located in the actual South Pole and vice versa. Now the last reversal happened about 780,000 years ago, so we're basically overdue for another one. But now the strength of the field is 5% weaker than it's been before, which is worrying. Our magnetic field deflects particle storms and cosmic rays from the sun, as well as other subatomic particles from space. Now without that protection, the particles would hit our atmosphere, eroding the already weak ozone layer. atmosphere. On top of that, a lot of animals navigate magnetically, so this reversal could cause serious ecological disturbance. Overall, world could end because of it. Coming in at number 9 is the magnetic fields part 2. Thankfully, I've hit you with the science already, so I can just go straight into it. So the inner core of the Earth is a solid ball of metal, the outer core is a moving shell of liquid iron and nickel, as I previously mentioned. That's what creates our giant electric dynamo of a magnetosphere. But as I've mentioned in other videos, we're also overdue for an ice age since the Earth goes through warm and cold cycles. Scientists have claimed that upcoming changes in the sun's activity could cause temperatures on Earth to plunge from 2020 to 2050. Last time I checked, 2020 is right around the corner. Now add that to the magnetic reversal and the weakening of the magnetosphere, that's going to add to the Earth getting colder. The atmosphere is what reflects heat particles back to Earth and keeps it warm, and if that gets weaker, we get colder. And if an impending ice age is coming anyway, we're going to be freezing. And hypothetically, what if that causes the core to cool and us to lose the magnetosphere altogether? We could then lose all our protection from solar winds and our atmosphere would just get blasted into space. That's exactly what happened to Mars billions of years ago, and now it's lifeless. That could be us. At number 8 we have engineered disease. Now back at the end of 2011, a major controversy erupted when people found out that researchers had engineered a mutant version of bird flu that could be passed on through ferrets or simply via the air. Why on earth are we out here trying to purposefully create diseases that we had a hard time fighting off the first time? Like, why are we like this, people? Like, let's just not be our own demise, please. Now the last study on the new version of the H5N1 virus showed that it literally only takes 5 mutations in the virus in order for it to be spread through airborne droplets between humans or ferrets. Thankfully, the US National Security Advisory Board for Biosecurity made sure the details of the study were withheld so they don't fall into the wrong hands. Dun dun dun. But if one group of researchers can achieve that, God knows what other groups could achieve. What if another deadly engineered disease was created elsewhere and it accidentally or very much intentionally got released? Global panic would ensue, my friends. Global panic. Nobody got time for that. I just got better. I'm not here to get H5N1 again. I didn't have it the first time, but you know. Filling our number 7 slot are gamma ray bursts, aka one of the most powerful phenomena in the entire universe. No exaggeration. Now most are caused as a result of massive stars collapsing when they die. Now one single short gamma ray blast can emit more energy than the sun would over the course of its whole life. Like, can we take in how critical that actually is? The energy in a single blast has the potential and power to eradicate our entire ozone layer, allowing dangerous UV light to pour in and trigger rapid global cooling. It's so dangerous that many even think a gamma ray burst pointed at the Earth could have been the reason that dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. Like, my red alert is going off right now at a very high rate. I'm freaking out. Now at number 6 is divine intervention. Gotta love it, gotta have it. Now every religious text has some sort of apocalyptic prophecy. Judaism has the book of Daniel, Islam has the coming of the Mahdi, Christianity has the book of Revelation, Zoroastrianism has the countdown of the third son of Zoroaster, like it's been written since ever, and despite interpretations and stories varying, it's still very present. God is meant to intervene and bring history and the world to an end, essentially. Now that's all well and good for whenever that may happen, but unfortunately there are a lot of doomsday cults who'd rather take holy retribution into their own hands. For example, back in 1995, the members of the Shini Coast sect set off sarin nerve gas in a subway station in Tokyo that killed 12 people and injured 5,000 plus. Had the group been armed with something more lethal like a nuclear weapon or something nanotechnological, the damage they and other groups like them could cause would be unimaginable. Coming in at number 5 is fungal disease. Now sure, a bacterial epidemic of some sort is quite scary and possible, but it's a fungal threat that is the real risk here. Back in 2013, for example, an infection originating from the chytrid fungus made its way through amphibians and wiped out the majority of frogs in the US. If something like that occurred with humans, we'd be absolutely screwed. Because the thing is, bacterial infections in humans are deadly too, but we have a lot of research on them, a lot of antibiotics, we have the knowledge needed to fight them. But we know a lot less less about treating fungal infections, and so if a new fungus appeared and an epidemic swept through the world, who knows if we could stop it in time. I certainly don't. I'm no doctor. Just take an aspirin. At number 4 are black holes. I had to mention it, you guys. I know they make an appearance in basically every end of the world video, but it's also there for a reason. You know, other than the fact it's Hollywood's second favorite form of planet death, but yeah. Now they are still mostly a mystery to us. We know a lot about them, but we also don't know everything we don't know, if you get me. For one, we don't even know why they're so dense to the point light can't even escape them. Scientists specializing in black hole research believe that record black holes are out there just harmlessly wandering through space, exactly like a rogue planet. But they're not harmless, that's the thing. It would be harmless if it passed through our solar system and passed the Earth like, hey, how you doing? I'm just gonna be over here. But what if it doesn't? What if the black hole passing through was bigger than the moon, for example, which is likely? Because if light can't even escape, do you really think Earth would be able to? Most definitely not, you guys. We're getting sucked in there ASAP Rocky with ASAP Rocky. Our atoms will stretch and then pull apart completely, or we might end up in a new universe completely. Who knows? Who knows? At least ASAP Rocky will be there for us and with us. Filling our number 3 slot is the Rogue Planet Part 1. Now rogue planets are worlds that got kicked out of their own solar systems during formation. Savage, to be honest. But not really, since it's such a common occurrence. It's estimated that rogue planets actually outnumber stars in the Milky Way by like 100,000 to 1. But these rogue planets have no set route for orbit, so they're just kind of traveling freely. So it's very plausible that a drifting rogue planet could straight up hit us. And you'd think that would never happen, but it did already. 4.5 billion years ago, a small planet hit a larger planet in the solar system, and thus the Earth and Moon were born. A new hit could again send debris flying all over the solar system and melt the Earth. A new planet would come after that and it would eventually cool down, but who knows if it would even be habitable. But we'd be dead by then anyway, so it's not like we're gonna live on it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll take the L. I won't be here. Now at number 2 is the Rogue Planet Part 2. Now carrying on from that, instead of a rogue planet drifting into the solar system and hitting Earth, it could very easily just drift in and destabilize Earth, which is different, guys. Now hypothetically, if a world large enough drifts close enough to us, it could actually kick us out of the solar system altogether or knock us into Mercury or Venus, which again, not ideal. If we get kicked out and become our own rogue planet, the Earth would essentially become an ice ball. Either that or a significant gravitational change could make our seasons extreme and deadly, going between ice age level cold and actual melting point hot. Now I doubt any of us have the capacity to survive that, so let's not become a rogue planet. Not that it's in our control, but it's fine. And finally, at number 1 is mass instability. Now as our approach to physical health and disease has improved drastically, the same can't be said for mental health. Yeah, our attitudes towards it has definitely changed for the better, but overall mental health is getting worse. According to the World Health Organization, 500 million people suffer from some sort of psychological disorder. Already the number of people over 65 are disproportionately likely to commit suicide, and those are the elderly people, not even including the people my age who are doing it on a daily basis. It's estimated that by next year, depression will be the second leading cause of death, right behind cardiovascular disease. Like that blows my mind, but it also doesn't. Like as someone with depression, I completely get it, but I'm just like, how have we not found better ways to treat ourselves? Like, it's beyond me. Now the fact that the human lifespan is getting longer also intensifies the problem, since we'll have even more years to experience all these feelings. Gregory Stock, a biophysicist at the University of California, claims medical advances will soon let people live to 200 years old or older. 200 years of depression or schizophrenia or psychosis seems like a curse, not a blessing. 200 years of overloading your senses with these feelings could lead to a new kind of insanity that we've never seen before, and thus, how are we even gonna respond to it?